Before I start the story, I want to tell you to subscribe because only 2% are subscribers, and at 1,000 subscribers I will post a special video. Rain fell in heavy sheets over the deserted highway, the sky an ominous swirl of dark clouds. Cassandra Williams had always felt a certain unease during storms, a premonition she often laughed off as a quirk of her vivid imagination. Tonight, however, her unease deepened with every mile she put between herself and the bright lights of the city. Cassandra's car, an old but reliable sedan, hummed along the slick, wet road. Her windshield wipers fought valiantly against the deluge, struggling to offer her a glimpse of the road ahead. She was returning from a late-night shift at the research lab where she worked as a geneticist, her mind preoccupied with the complexities of her latest project. Suddenly, a bright flash of light tore through the night, far brighter than any lightning bolt. Cassandra's heart skipped a beat. The light did not fade. Instead, it seemed to hover in the sky, pulsating with an eerie glow. She slowed the car, her scientific curiosity battling with the primal fear rising in her chest. The light descended rapidly, morphing into a massive, disc-shaped object that blocked the highway ahead. Cassandra slammed on the brakes, skidding to a halt just feet from the inexplicable phenomenon. Her breath caught in her throat as she stared in disbelief. The object emitted no sound, its presence otherworldly. Before she could react further, a beam of light enveloped her car, lifting it off the ground. Cassandra screamed, her voice lost amidst the howling storm. Everything around her blurred into a vortex of light and shadow as she lost consciousness. When she awoke, Cassandra found herself in a stark metallic room, her body restrained on a cold, hard table. The air was thick with a sterile chill, and the silence was oppressive. Panic clawed at her as she struggled against her bonds, but they held firm, trapping her in place. A door hissed open, and several figures entered the room. They were unlike any beings Cassandra had ever seen, tall, with elongated limbs and translucent skin that seemed to shimmer under the harsh lights. Their eyes, large and unblinking, regarded her with an unsettling intensity. One of the aliens approached, its movements graceful yet unnerving. It spoke, and though Cassandra could not understand the words, the tone was unmistakably commanding. Another alien produced a device that hovered above her, emitting a soft, humming noise. Pain seared through Cassandra as the device began its work, scanning her, probing with invisible fingers that left trails of fire in their wake. Despite the agony, Cassandra's mind raced. She knew she had to escape, to warn others, but how? Her thoughts were abruptly interrupted as the first alien spoke again, this time through a translation device that produced halting mechanical English.
"You are unique, human. Your genetic makeup is of great interest to us."
Cassandra's fear mingled with a spike of anger.
"What do you want from me?"
she managed to gasp out, her voice hoarse. The alien paused, its eyes narrowing slightly. "You will understand in time. For now, know that this is necessary." As the device continued its torture, Cassandra realized the gravity of her situation. She was not just a prisoner. She was a subject in their experiments. Whatever these beings sought, it was tied to the very essence of her being. And as the session wore on, it became clear. This was only the beginning of her ordeal. The sterile room blurred into the edges of Cassandra's vision as the pain receded to a dull ache, replaced by an exhausted numbness. The aliens had left, leaving her alone with her thoughts, still strapped to the cold, hard table. She worked her wrists against the restraints, seeking any give. There was none. Instead, each movement sent fresh waves of pain coursing through her body. She realized, despairingly, that escape was not an option. At least, not while she was so closely monitored and controlled. Her mind raced through every sci-fi scenario she'd ever read or watched, seeking a plan, a hope, a means of escape. But the reality of her situation pressed heavily upon her. These beings were far beyond human technology and understanding. They seemed to view her as little more than a specimen, a puzzle to be solved and discarded. Hours, or was it days, passed in a disorienting haze. The room's unchanging light offered no hint of time's passage, and no further visits broke the monotony. Cassandra fought against the isolation and fear, trying to piece together why she had been taken. Her work at the lab was groundbreaking, sure, But could it really have attracted the attention of extraterrestrial beings? Her thoughts were interrupted by the hiss of the door. This time, a single alien entered, different from the others. It was shorter, with a slighter build, and its skin had a faint blue tint, contrasting sharply with the near transparency of its companions. It carried a device similar to a tablet, which it consulted frequently before finally speaking. "You have been chosen for integration," it said, the translator rendering its voice mechanical and flat. "Your genetic uniqueness is desirable. You will help us understand resilience and adaptation." Cassandra's heart pounded. Integration? What did they intend to do to her? She licked her dry lips and forced out a question. "What do you mean by integration? Are you going to experiment on me?" The alien tilted its head, considering her words. "Not experiment, enhance, improve. You will become part of something greater. It is a privilege." She shivered, realizing that these beings did not even comprehend the violation they proposed. To them, it was a transaction, a simple exchange, her humanity for their curiosity. The alien continued, oblivious to her horror. "We will begin soon. Preparation is needed. You will not suffer, not physically." It paused, as if considering the concept of suffering. "Your mind will be expanded." As it left, Cassandra felt a new wave of determination surge through her exhaustion. She might be powerless now, but she was not yet defeated. They intended to alter her, to use her, but she was still herself, still Cassandra Williams, and she would find a way to resist. She began to observe her surroundings with renewed interest, noting the times the guards changed, the slight delay between the door opening and the aliens entering. Each small detail might be the key to her escape, or at least to understanding her captor's intentions. As the lights dimmed, signaling what she assumed was the aliens' version of night, Cassandra prepared herself. She would need all her strength and cunning to face what was coming. Cassandra lay motionless, her mind tirelessly weaving through strategies as the alien cycle of day and night flickered around her. Every sound and shadow became a signal, a signpost to understanding the alien's schedule and habits. During one of these cycles, when the dim glow that signified night bathed the room, she noticed a slight irregularity. The faint whirring sound of machinery seemed less consistent, like the rhythm of breathing when one is about to wake. Her heart raced as she realized this might be her chance to communicate with the outside, if only she could access one of their devices. The next time the door hissed open, her pulse spiked not from fear, but from focused intent. A different alien entered, one she hadn't seen before. This one was more heavily built, its gait marked by purpose and assurance. It approached her with a small, intricate device in hand, which it attached to her temple without a word. The device felt like a cluster of cold, tiny fingers grazing her skin, sending a shiver down her spine. Before she could react to the discomfort, the room dissolved around her, replaced by a panoramic expanse of stars and nebulae, as if she was suddenly transported into deep space. The alien's voice, through the translator, echoed in this constructed reality. "We begin the enhancement. Focus on the connection." Images and sensations flooded her senses, overwhelming yet vivid. Cassandra grappled with the influx of alien thoughts, trying to push her own consciousness through the stream. It was disorienting, feeling her mind meld with another's, but it sparked an idea. If she could navigate this connection, perhaps she could send a distress signal back through their own system. She concentrated on her identity, her knowledge of Earth, her memories of home, pushing these thoughts towards the alien consciousness, linked with hers. The feedback was immediate and intense, a pushback from the alien, surprised by her resistance. "What are you doing?" the voice demanded, the smoothness gone, replaced by a harsher tone. "I'm showing you who I am," Cassandra replied, her mental voice firm. "I am human, with a life and a world of my own." The alien paused, the mental onslaught easing as it processed her words, her emotions, her very humanity. For a moment, the star-filled illusion flickered, revealing the sterile room around her. Cassandra felt the connection weaken and knew this was her moment. She dove deeper into the alien's network through their link, her thoughts racing for any sliver of access to communications, to anything that might send a signal to Earth. Suddenly, the illusion shattered, and she was back on the table, the device removed abruptly as the alien stepped back, its form blurred by Cassandra's tears and determination. The alien regarded her differently now, a hint of uncertainty in its posture. "You are not what we expected," it admitted, turning to leave. As the door closed, Cassandra's breath came in ragged gasps. She had touched their network, felt the vastness of their technology, and it had left her with a piercing headache and a sliver of hope. She now knew she could potentially reach out, and that understanding fortified her resolve. She would find a way to connect again, to fight back, not just for her survival, but for the sovereignty of her mind and the chance to return home. Cassandra's brief intrusion into the alien network had unforeseen consequences. The next time the door to her cell opened, she braced herself for retaliation. Instead, the blue-tinted alien, whom she now recognized as some form of scientist or doctor, entered with a cautious demeanor. It seemed her display of resistance had sparked more curiosity than anger. "We underestimated your capacity," the alien admitted, holding a different, less intimidating device in its hand. "We seek understanding, not destruction. You will be granted limited access to our data. Perhaps through collaboration we achieve enlightenment." Cassandra's mind raced with the implications. This was an unexpected opportunity, a crack in the alien's seemingly impenetrable armor. "I'll cooperate, but I want assurances, safety and communication with my planet." The alien nodded almost imperceptibly. "Assurances given. We do not seek to destroy what we find valuable." The new device was attached gently this time, and Cassandra found herself immersed in a digital landscape, a complex network of data that stretched in all directions. She navigated cautiously, mindful that her every move might be monitored. Yet the vast stores of knowledge before her were too tempting to ignore. She absorbed information about the aliens' technology, their history, their structure of civilization, all the while searching for anything that could help her send a message to Earth. As she learned, she also subtly planted seeds of her own data, encrypted signals cleverly disguised and woven into the fabric of their network. If any Earth-based systems were monitoring for extraterrestrial signals, hers would be ready to be picked up, a silent SOS amidst the noise. Meanwhile, she couldn't help but marvel at the sophistication of the alien society. They were explorers, driven by a compulsion to assimilate and understand all forms of life and intelligence. Yet in their quest for knowledge, they seemed to have lost something crucial, the ability to empathize with the sentient beings they studied so intently. After what felt like hours, the connection was severed, and she was left alone once more in her cell. Her body ached from the mental exertion, but her spirit soared with the possibility that she might have just initiated her first real step towards rescue. Now, more than ever, Cassandra knew she needed to stay alert and continue to play her part. The aliens respected her intelligence, which might afford her more opportunities to exploit their trust. She had to be ready to act on any opportunity to explore their technology further, or find a way to escape. Her next interaction with the aliens brought more discussions, more exchanges of knowledge. Cassandra used these sessions to probe for weaknesses in their systems and to understand their motivations better. Each exchange was a dance of wits and wills, each party careful not to reveal too much, yet each driven by their own desperate needs. As she lay in her cell after another long session, Cassandra felt the dual weight of exhaustion and hope. Her mind buzzed with plans and calculations, her heart with longing for home. She was alone in this strange alien world, but she was not defeated. She had begun to pave a way back, and with each passing moment she wove her web more tightly around her captors, waiting for the right moment to strike and reclaim her freedom. As days melded into each other under the constant artificial light of her cell, Cassandra's mind continued to adapt to the rhythms of her captors' technology. With each interaction, she became more fluent in their digital language, her earlier tentative manipulations evolving into confident commands. Her captors, intrigued by her progress, unwittingly facilitated her deeper access into their systems. During one session, the alien with the faint blue tint, whom Cassandra now thought of as Dr. Zell, a name she had assigned based on a symbol frequently seen on its uniform, brought forth a proposal. We observe your adaptability and propose an enhancement to your cognitive faculties to further this collaboration. This will require more invasive procedures, but the benefits will enhance your understanding exponentially. Cassandra hesitated. The offer was tempting. A direct augmentation of her brain's processing capabilities could provide the edge she needed to escape. However, the risks were monumental. It was a gambit that could lead to her losing herself entirely to their control. I need to consider the implications of such an enhancement, she replied cautiously, buying time to weigh her options and to scan the new data this conversation had opened up in their network. Dr. Ezel nodded, its expression unreadable. Your caution is prudent. We will await your decision. That night, as the facility dimmed to its version of twilight, Cassandra accessed the alien network once again. This time she discovered a section of encrypted communications. With painstaking effort, she deciphered the codes and stumbled upon discussions of other human abductions and experiments. Her heart clenched as she read the clinical descriptions of procedures and outcomes, some successful, many catastrophic. She was not the first, nor would she be the last. This revelation hardened her resolve. She also found references to an upcoming transfer of data to a distant sector of the galaxy, a routine backup of all experimental data, including everything they had learned from her. If she could hitch a digital ride on this transfer, her message could travel across stars, reaching far beyond this ship to anyone who might be listening. The following day, Dr. Zell returned. "Have you considered our offer?" it asked, the translator's voice devoid of inflection. "Yes," Cassandra responded, her decision made in the dark hours of her research. "I will accept the enhancement, but under one condition." "And what is that?" Dr. Zell inquired. "I wish to observe the procedure, to understand fully what you plan to do," she stated, knowing this was a bold request. Surprisingly, Dr. Zell agreed. "It is unconventional but acceptable. Preparations will be made." The procedure was scheduled swiftly. As Cassandra was led into a new chamber filled with devices and screens, she felt a surge of adrenaline. This was her chance. As they prepared her for the procedure, she was given a brief moment with the equipment under the guise of her final consent. That moment was all she needed. She implanted a series of delayed commands into the data stream, commands that would initiate her message broadcast during the upcoming data transfer. As the aliens began the enhancement, her consciousness flickered between reality and a vast digital expanse. Cassandra felt the enhancement surge through her neurons, her mind expanding in ways she had never imagined possible. The pain was intense, but behind it lay clarity. As her senses returned, she realized the procedure had concluded successfully. Dr. Zell looked on, a hint of pride, or something akin to it, flickering across its features. "You are now more than you were." With her enhanced cognitive abilities, Cassandra felt as if she were moving through the alien systems with unprecedented speed and precision. Her mind, now hyper-tuned to their technology, could manipulate data streams and access highly secure areas with ease. It was a double-edged sword, providing her with the tools to enact her escape plan, but at the same time deepening the aliens' interest in her as an asset. As Cassandra continued to integrate her presence within the network, she prepared for the imminent data transfer. Her encrypted SOS was set to broadcast across the alien communication channels during the transfer, hoping to reach any possible allies or rescue parties. She understood the risks involved. Her actions could provoke severe repercussions if discovered. Yet, the potential reward, freedom, and the chance to warn Earth fortified her resolve. Dr. Zell and the others seemed oblivious to her clandestine activities, impressed with her adaptability and apparent cooperation. During their sessions, Cassandra played the part, engaging them with questions about their technology and philosophy, all the while subtly pushing her own agenda deeper into their systems. The day of the data transfer arrived. Cassandra was brought to the control room under the guise of observing their operations as part of her integration. The room was a hive of activity, with aliens busily managing the streams of data flowing out towards distant parts of their empire. Cassandra's heart raced as she watched the data streams on the large central monitor, waiting for the precise moment to activate her implanted commands. As the stream pulsed with increased activity, Signaling the start of the transfer, she initiated her sequence. Instantly, the flow of data flickered, an almost imperceptible stutter in the stream that went unnoticed by the aliens. Cassandra's message, coded within the normal data, was now hurtling towards distant stars, carrying her plea for help. Just as she was about to breathe a sigh of relief, alarms blared throughout the room. The aliens turned towards their screens, their calm demeanor replaced by confusion and concern. Dr. Zell turned to her, its eyes narrowing. "What have you done?" it demanded, the translator barely keeping up with its agitated tone. Cassandra stood firm, her eyes locked on Dr. Zell. "I am not just your experiment or tool. I am Cassandra Williams, and I will not let you use me or anyone else for your purposes without fighting back. You wanted to understand humanity? This is it. Our determination, our resilience, and our will to be free." The room erupted into chaos as the aliens scrambled to correct the data stream, but Cassandra knew her message was already beyond their reach. She took advantage of the confusion, rushing to a console to initiate one last command, a command that would disrupt the ship's internal communications and give her a chance to escape. She sprinted out of the control room, navigating through corridors she had memorized from the ship's schematics. The ship, now echoing with the sounds of disarray, felt like a labyrinth turning against its master. Finally, Cassandra reached the hangar, where small scout ships were docked. She chose one, quickly starting up the systems with her enhanced understanding. The ship hummed to life, and she directed it towards the hangar doors, which were already opening in response to the internal alarm. As she piloted the ship out into the vastness of space, Cassandra looked back at the alien vessel, a massive silhouette against the backdrop of a distant sun. She had done it. She had escaped, and her message was out there, possibly on its way to Earth. Now, as she set her course back home, Cassandra knew that the struggle was far from over.